come up on the top of your screen, and you feel free to dismiss it or anything like that. Owen has also just put in the chat, if you do have any questions during the webinar, type them into the chat there on his little message put in so you can see it, and we'll address them as we go, and we'll give you an option to come in at some stage as well if you want to open up your mics and stuff later on towards the end. We might start the way and bring you back to the presentation. So we're all here today because we're the club coaching officers, or the delegates that have been chosen from the club if one wasn't available. And I'd just like to welcome everyone, and thanks for taking the time to come on to us. Just what we're going to go through tonight would be the player pathway, the roles and responsibilities of yourselves, the club coaching officers, the skills and qualities of yourselves, the club coaching officers, a bit on planning, implementation of key initiatives, resources and supports available to you, and just we'll tie it all in at the end together. So I might have mentioned this already, anyone just joining, you're going to need a blank sheet of paper, a pen, your mobile phone and iPad. You'll also need to try and get the Poll EV app, which is in the chat if you want to have a look at it. So just starting off, the current player pathway is kind of set out like this, where the child is playing to learn, the youth learning to compete, and the adult competing to win. So with the child, you have your nursery, your early go games, your late go games, depending on their age. Then with the youth, you have early teenage, mid-teenage, and late teenage. So they'll have super game centres, second level tournaments, and their normal county games. Then the adult then, 18 plus, so third level, senior hurling, whatever it might be. This is the player pathway that's in development at the moment. So of the one I've just gone on, they're developing at the moment. As you can see, they're trying to make it a lot more club centered. You might have 99 players playing in your club, and one of them might go on to elite level inter-county. So the other 99 players should be what we're responsible for, what we're catering to. So it's great to see that the club is now at the centre focus of it. And this is going to be launched properly in the Games Development Conference in January. So again, you've play to learn, learn to compete, and compete to win, just separated in by the club. So player welfare supports available to you guys into your clubs, the GAA 15, concussion, cardiac screening, defibrillator guidelines, supplements, implementing player safety guidelines, gum shields and helmets are an example of that, guard vetting. The basic awareness is now the child safeguarding courses and etc. I'm just going to nip off this PowerPoint for a minute. I'm going to go into the Longford website. So Longford website already here. So if you go up to resources on the Longford website, GA resources, and these are all here and recently updated as well to match the GA website. So you've coaching resources, referee resources, club resources, and player resources. So even just picking player resources, for example, the things I was mentioning there, if you scroll to the bottom of it, there you have your anti-doping, your cardiac screening, concussion, injury prevention, all those things are there for the player. And depending on what you're looking for, the Longford website has it all there in those different things. So just going back to the PowerPoint again. So the games opportunities available to your players, the Go games, youth fixtures, cross-county fixtures, talent academy fixtures, super game centres, all these, majority of these would be county ran or province ran, and then your internal leagues and club bits that you can do yourselves, and there's someone going to talk about that in a little while as well, what they did, and then worked very well. So development opportunities, games development planning, your nursery programs, your under sixes, the club player pathway, so your tourist club workshops are the centre to that, and Paddy and Owen, I'm sure, are in contact with you or have been in recent months. The cool camps and the club camps, primary school coaching, so your club school link. So is there a school link officer that's going into your local schools from your club? Teacher support, talent academies. So again, that's mostly the squads, coach education. So anything from the foundation level 1 or to the lads doing the tourist workshops. Course development ties into that as well. The respect initiative and the skills challenges. And where someone is actually going to talk about how they implemented the skills challenges into their club as well today, which is great. Just the learning.ga.ie website, so GA learning website. Probably the most underused part of the GA website stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play you a video about the activity planner that's available on this, and the majority of the coaches probably have heard of it before. I can definitely say the majority don't use it. It's very underused again, like the website. So I'm just going to play this video for you, and then Jimmy's going to talk you through it here. So
Activity Planner for Coaches. This planner has been designed to help coaches identify activities suitable for their players and to build coaching sessions from these activities. The planner contains activities for hurling, Gaelic football, handball, and rounders. Each activity is represented by a thumbnail, which identifies the type of activity. For example, this is a conditioned game. The name of the activity, here this one is called hand pass captain ball, and a rating, which is based on how different users have judged it. Click anywhere on the thumbnail to view the activity. Each activity contains text which explains what the activity is designed to do. It also contains text on how to organize the activity and how the activity can be varied by using the step method. By changing the space or area that the activity is organized in, by changing the task that the players are challenged to do, or by changing the type of equipment or the number or role of the players. Each activity also contains a diagram which displays the organization of the activity. Most activities have a video which shows the activity in motion. Underneath the diagram and video display panel, the types of equipment required to organize the activity are displayed. In the top left-hand corner, a series of icons represent the types of playing activities In the top left-hand corner, icons represent the types of playing capacities that the activity develops. These capacities are described in the Total Playing Performance or TPP model. A PDF worksheet for the activity can also be printed out. On the left-hand side of the activity planner, a series of filters can be used to narrow the thumbnails visible. Activities can be filtered by age or grade. These ages or grades correspond to the different stages in the GAA player development pathway. The activities can also be filtered by skill type, as described in our skill categories. Finally, the activities can be filtered by activity type, as described in the Coach 10 activity wheel. You can also access sample sessions by clicking the sessions link in the top right-hand corner. By registering for the GAA Learning and Development portal and logging in, you can build your own coaching sessions from the activities. To do this, select an activity and click Add to Coaching Session. You can add the activity to a new or existing session. If it's a new session, give the session a specific name that will allow you to identify it later. Add the activity by clicking the plus icon beside the Add Activity Here field. Save the session and continue to select activities to build your complete session. Print the session PDF or delete the session using the buttons at the bottom of the screen. Welcome to the new...
So, explained very well there, I must say. So, a challenge I'd have for coaching officers for yourselves would be, can you get all of your coaches just use it once and see how they feel, get them to play around with it, get them to plan a session using it, and see, does it improve their coaching, does it improve their preparation, and how it goes. So we're going to change it a little bit now, and we're going to get a little bit more interactive. So the coaching officer, the roles and responsibilities. So what I'm going to get everybody to do is under Poll EV, if they have the app, or go to pollf.com/own_divine-og113. It's at the top of the screen there. So someone asked for the presenter's name earlier on, so it's Own Divine OG113. And I want you to write in an example of a duty a coaching officer may have. So it can be one word. If it's a few words together, just don't have any spaces, because it'll come up on a map here for us. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. The answer should be coming up in front of us once people start entering them. So please use away right now.
Who will be the first one in?
It's a race on. First one in gets no homework.
So just an example of any duty or something, a task that a coaching officer might do over a season. It can be something small or something big. Yeah, so we're off to a start there. Coordinating with coaches. Good.
Excellent.
Oh, and you wouldn't just give the address there again to get into Poll EV?
Yeah, I'll type it in the chat down at the bottom.
Will you? Yeah, because it keeps going off the screen here. Thanks.
Sorry, 1 sec now. It's the second one. The second one there, so 113.
So they're starting to come in now again on coach recruitment, organising training for coaches, ensure equipment for all age groups, to make sure that all coaches are coaching at the proper level. Brilliant.
Yeah, loads of good stuff coming in. Keep them coming. There's no rush, another minute.
Owen, can you see how many's on the call at the moment?
I can, yeah. 15 altogether.
15, okay.
So if you've already put one in, don't be afraid to put in a second one, something that you might have done before, or something that you would have been expecting to do. So maintaining a school link or even creating one is another good one there.
Brilliant.
So 1 more minute, everyone. Good, linking with the club committee. Yeah, probably the most important link there between coaches and kind of the club executive. So 30 more seconds, I'd say we'll get 1 or 2 more.
Brilliant.
So ensuring equipment and advice on coaching tips and where to get them. Very good. Not to worry, Mick. Don't worry about it. If you want, Mick, you can type one in there into the side of the chat. It's the same thing, really. So we'll just give 10 more seconds there. Probably what we can all see there is there's a really broad range of stuff that a coaching officer might have to do or might get involved in. But I suppose it always relates back to the coaches. So whether it's organising equipment for the coaches or linking the club executive to coaches or upskilling coaches, it's always the coaches really. And I suppose the key is it's in the name there that the coaching officer, that's the big link, but it can be very broad. So in the next couple of slides, we're just going to explore that a little bit more and kind of get a bit more clarity on what a coaching officer might do or even prioritise.
Yeah,
so
and we might get everyone just to keep on their poll EV just for a couple more minutes as well, because we're going to be using it again.
Yeah. Yeah, so maintaining consistent coaching approach across different age groups. Very good. I'd say we can move on, Kieran.
Yeah.
Sorry if there's anyone just typing away there, but well done. Great answers from everyone. So here we have kind of 14 points. And again, it's kind of the same thing. So it's different roles that a coaching officer might have or different things that they might do. So we're going to give you lots of time here. So have a read down through them and using the poll EV if you're using it. If not, you can use the chat. We want you to just put in your top 3 numbers. So just pick your top 3 ones. You don't have to have them in any particular order, just the top 3 most important ones you have there. So if I picked 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to put into my poll EV 1 space 2 space 3. And then you just submit that, and that's all you have to do. And if you want, you can put in the numbers one at a time, but try and get them all in the one go if you can. If there's anyone that's a bit confused by that or anything, just type it in at the bottom and we'll be able to sort it, or turn on your mic if you want either. So just have lots of time there.
And if I was picking 8, 9, and 10, I'd go 8 space 9 space and then 10.
Exactly, yeah. So take your time, read down through them, see what things that you would find that are the 3 top priority things for a coaching officer that you find yourself prioritizing yourself.
And this could be down to the club as well, Owen. It might be the location might be, or the number of players might be different to another club on the call, so they might have all different answers.
That's it, yeah. So there's no kind of right answers here. It's just every club could be different, or depending on the coaching officer, it could be different too, depending on specialities and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
Some of you are struggling with the screen there. I know it's working fine here. Sometimes if you log out and log back in again, it can work. And if that's the case, we can wait for anyone that's doing that. But other than that, we don't know.
They can't see the list on, is it?
No, it's happening now for me. So I've logged out and I logged back in, and it actually has stopped, lads. It was jumping. I couldn't read it because it kept jumping on me, but I've logged out and logged back in. It seems to have worked for me anyway.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mick.
Can you see them coming on the phone on?
I'm just checking here now.
Brilliant.
Nothing just yet. Shayna has one in on the side there, I think. So 8, 1, and 3. So we have organising coaching courses and workshops to upskill the club coaches, be an active member of the club executive, and then number 3, liaison with the county coaching and games, which would be myself and Paddy. So there's Shayna's 3 picks. So if we can be using the poll EV, because it'll kind of show us as a group what our top 3 were. So again, 3 and 8 coming up there again, and then 13 proposed strategies to increase participation in the club. Another good one, very important one.
Very good.
So another few coming in, 3 again, 13 and 8 make an appearance, so 4 and 6 are new, so overseeing the production of games development plan for the club. And then number 6, provide participation opportunities for non-competitive team members and non-members at youth and adult level.
Excellent.
So again, there's 14, there's loads of good options there, but just have a look and see what your top 3 are.
We give it another minute on.
Kieran, if you just click to the next one.
Yeah.
The poll EV is stuck on the other one. Yeah, so just leave it there. It should work there now, guys.
Oh, there they're coming now, yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, what that does is the more people that put in a certain number, the bigger the number gets. So that's all the answers that you're flooding in there. We'll just give it another 10 or 15 seconds if anyone else wants to add them in. So 13 is definitely a winner. There's just changing a bit there.
Sweet.
3 is poking in.
Can't see any of this.
So right there now we have, I would say 13, 3 and 10. Would you agree with that, Kieran?
Yeah, it seems to be, yeah.
Okay, so 13 there is proposes strategies to increase participation in the club. So that would definitely be a strong one. Would agree with that. Then 10, recruiting key personnel within the club, so coaches and mentors and a club school link liaison. So definitely something that was mentioned before in the last task and very important there. And then 8 is popping up there as well. So organising coaching courses and workshops to upskill club coaches. So again, we're showing there's loads of different things a coaching officer could be doing or involved in, and there's loads of important jobs, but not everyone is doing the exact same thing. So it's kind of an open-ended thing, and every club is different. So if you move on then, Kieran, myself and Paddy had to go at the exact same task that you did, and we tried to pick out the top 3 things, and this is kind of what we came up with. So as number 1, we had liaison with coaching of county coaching and games development committee and coaching officer. So that'll be with myself or with Paddy, depending on which club it is, and then with members of the county board. So most of you have been doing that very well, and it also kind of works the other way. So if there's questions coming from coaches, that they're aware that they can come to you and that you could bring that question to us, or you could come to us with ways that we can help you. And I've met most of the clubs I've been working with, and that's been very helpful in getting to know what the needs of the club are and how we can help them out. Then the second one we would have picked is oversee the production of a games development plan for the club. So that's just what might happen in a season. So if you have your under 8s and your under 10s, how the whole season might look for them, how many games they might play, how much training they might do, how many times a week they might train, and different things like that. So it's really just overseeing and kind of trying to set a standard over the course of a season on how teams are coached and players are coached. Then the third one we picked was to support the implementation of team training programs in accordance with a player pathway that's developmentally appropriate, basically. So any clubs that have had the Taurus workshop with myself or with Paddy would have definitely got their toes dipped in the player pathway, and there's one kind of made out, and if a club wanted to do their own, that's completely okay as well. But Leinster has kind of set out guidelines of a player pathway, which a coaching officer would be key in implementing that and trying to encourage coaches to use the player pathway as best they can. So there's a kind of a coherent path from nursery at under 6 all the way up to minor as best we can, and that it's developmentally appropriate all the time. So it's not that these are the right answers and that everything else is wrong or anything like that, but these would be the 3 things that myself and Paddy would see as your priorities. But then we understand that every club is different and it can change from season to season and month to month. So just that's what we would be looking for all the time. So if you want to go again here. So the next thing we're going to do, we can use the chat here at the side that some of you have already been using. So just give us an example of a skill or a quality that makes a good coaching officer in a club. So again, there's no real wrong answers or anything here. We have a quick example to show you. So if you think of a driver instructor, what skills or qualities makes a good driving instructor would be listening skills, good communication skills, and maybe a quality might be that they'd be very patient. So how would you apply the same thing to a coaching officer? What skills or what qualities might they have to make them a good coaching officer in the club? So just have a go at it there in the little chat beside you. If you just click the little chat box and then type it in and just press send, the little arrow at the side. Good, so we've one in there, Mick. So a good listener or a good problem solver.
Brilliant.
We'll just flood it there with different ones and see what comes up. Here they come now. So knowing your player's strengths, communication skills, very good. Communication skills coming in 2 in a row there. Good, we'll give it another bit of time. No rush on anyone, have a think about it. So patience, again, the same as the driver instructor. Thinking outside the box, that's a good one. So new ideas, yeah. Sometimes it's about going against the tide and changing things up can make a big difference, especially for trying to get new children into the club. So Declan, or sorry, Paul, it's just a skill or a quality that a good coaching officer might have. So that's all you're looking for there. So what sort of skills or qualities might a good coaching officer have? Declan's in there as well with approachable, very important, yeah, that your coaches aren't afraid to come to you with any problems that they might be having or looking for advice. Encouraging other coaches, Shayna, definitely. So aware of player weaknesses to work on, yeah. And I suppose, John, that'll be kind of in a club as a whole, is there skills or is there particular areas that in a club that the players aren't excelling at, and how can we improve that? Coaching knowledge, yeah, you have to have a base obviously to be a coaching officer, but wouldn't say it's crucial. I think, as you can see, a lot of the skills that we've had there, communication skills, listening, problem solver, thinking outside the box. Sometimes you don't need to be the best coach to be a very good coaching officer, and it's a separate role. Even though probably most of the coaching officers here coach themselves, it's not necessarily the same job. Good management skills, definitely, Pauline, yeah. So working with a lot of different people and potentially even with limited resources, so definitely that's a key skill. We'll just give 10 more seconds if there's anyone else typing.
A lot of bases covered there, Owen.
Absolutely. I think we'll move on. I don't see any coming in there. It's kind of slowed up, so we can move on again. Okay, so just another task for you. So as Kieran said at the beginning, if you have a piece of paper, if you just kind of make 4 areas as it is here, and we're just going to give you about 2 or 3 minutes here, just have a real slow think about what is your club doing well consistently, what are they doing well occasionally, what is the club doing poorly, and what is the club not doing that it should be or that it could be. So just take your time. It's not going into the chat. It's not going into Poll EV. Just for yourselves, just have a little think about it. If you want to just make 4 corners in the page or whatever way you want to do it, and just have a think about it for yourselves. So we're going to give away no hints here now. Everyone's would be different. Every club is going to be different.
And we won't ask you to share, guys, so be as honest with yourselves as you can.
And you'll kind of see why we're doing this later on. So even if it's just 1 point in each corner, what's the club doing well consistently, pretty much all the time? What's the club doing well occasionally? What could the club be doing that, or what is it not doing that it could be doing? And then what is it doing poorly? Or even in that, what are the coaches doing well consistently? What are the coaches doing well occasionally? What could they be doing poorly? Or what could they be doing that's not being done already?
Exactly.
So loads of time, don't be rushing. One more minute now. So just another 15 seconds there. And we'll keep it moving then. So Kieran, do you want to move it on there?
Yeah.
So the next thing that we're looking for here is just we have 3 lads kind of lined up to chat, but after that, if anyone else wants to share something, just have a think about it as you're listening. So we're just thinking of what could clubs be doing that other clubs are doing around the county, and just sharing ideas and what's really working well. So the first man up to talk is Emmett Toher, who is one of the coaching officers in Kilo. Emmett, I assume you're there. If you want to turn on your mic, he's just going to chat about one of the things that Kilo has been doing really well and the benefits of it.
Thanks, Owen, and thanks to Kieran as well. And just I'd like to say fair play to you for the last number of weeks, because the workshops have been very beneficial, and the webinars, and you're doing mighty work there behind the scenes. Hello to all the other coaching officers out there. Something that we put together this year at the start of the year, unfortunately it hasn't came to fruition just yet, was a membership package for all our children from under 6 all the way up to minor. So we wanted to create a kind of an attractive membership package deal that would kind of entice players to come and play with us. And we put together from a standard package from under 6 to under 12. The standard package included their normal membership, and they got a football with that, and that was €25. Now we put together a premium package, and we got a deal from a club, sportswear, and the packaging included training top, shorts and socks, as well as the football and their membership for €40. So we had because once the came and seen the gear, you had an awful lot of children kind of wanting to be involved. And then obviously our last package was our older kids, are under 14, under 16 and under 18, and then that was a package deal of €20. Our biggest thing, and my biggest thing as the coaching officer, I wanted to see every child with a football, especially our younger children, to develop their skills. So that's one thing I would have seen in Dublin, in clubs like Kilmacud and Ballyboden. They go to training with their football, and they've already got so many touches in before the training. So again, as I said, we have that all set up. Over 100 children will be getting that premium package deal. We think it was a successful uptake. We advertised it on our social media as well as in the school, and I had the benefits of working in the school as well, so I could push it even further. So that's basically what we have at the moment, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw it in the group there.
Thanks a million, Emmett. Just before you go, you just kind of broke up there when you were explaining about I think it was the companies that you just got the footballs off. Just for about 10 seconds, it broke up there.
Sorry,
yeah.
Sorry, lads. That was the company we dealt with was Cuchulainn Sportswear.
Okay.
Yeah.
For both the football and gear.
Yeah, so that was for the gear. So in terms of the footballs, we've been kind of wheeling and dealing with different companies, MC Sport, Michael Murphy's. So again, we hadn't bought the footballs at this stage, but we were going to do a deal, obviously, to suit the size, whatever size football, whatever age. So the younger ones, we had the quick touch, the first touch, then our quick touch, then our smart touch, and we were going to just wheel and deal with one of the companies there with that.
Brilliant stuff, Emmett. Thanks a million. So next up is Enda McGahern, who was coaching officer last year with St. Vincent's. So Enda, I think you're there. If you can just turn on your mic.
Can you hear me all?
Yeah, I can, of course. Off you go.
All right. Thanks a million, lads. Yeah. So so one of the things we were asked to look at was the Super 8 splits that we ran. So effectively, it was an in-house blitz for under 8s and under 10s combined. So it was ran at the end of the year, effectively when the under 8 splits finished up in September. We got 8 teams, 4 boys and 4 girls teams, with 2 coaches, at least 2 coaches over each team. So every Friday for 3 weeks, each team played 3 games against each other. So basically we split them up. So the girls played each other, the boys played each other. So we had 4 pitches, and they all played 3 games each. Games are about 12 minutes aside. No goalies, goals and points counted the same. So I suppose the emphasis was on continued development of skills, and not winning or actual outcomes was important. So we did things like using a bib system where, we rotated, maybe a player had a bib or 2 players had a bib in each team. And before a score was given, then I suppose one of the players had to get a touch of the ball before their team was allowed to score. We had a situation where every player, there was no subs. If a team maybe had a few drop-offs and there was 2 or 3 extra, we asked the players maybe to swap on to the other team, which they didn't have an issue with. While it wasn't competitive or the emphasis wasn't development, we did kind of keep scores, and we did have a mini league table. So the 4 boys teams will say we just kind of had a rough of top 4 teams, which we didn't really publish. We just kind of kept to ourselves, and the girls did the same. And that then resulted in week 4. Then we had a kind of a semi-finals and finals night. Say first played 4th, third, second played 3rd in a semi-final, and then we had a final on the same night. So I suppose all kids got a medal and a treat in the clubhouse, and the 8 winning captains would have got a cup as well. So I suppose the main positives for us was we call it the Super 8s, had a bit of a ring to it. The 8 teams were made up of counties, so you had Longford, Dublin, Galway, Tyrone, Monaghan, Kerry, Mayo. Each team had its own sponsor, so they got a T-shirt. So Mayo, say, was red, Dublin was blue. Got the sponsor's name printed on the T-shirt, and their county name. So there's a good way to get new sponsors into the club for whatever it was, 70 or 80, 90 euro to get the T-shirts printed. So because it was under 8s and under 10s, you had a lot of new parents. So any new businesses coming on, we got them in to get sponsorship. We got the ladies club involved. So as a lot of us know, lot of girls play under 8s, nursery, under 8s and under 10s. And I suppose some of the issues are that maybe the minor club doesn't get enough support from the ladies clubs. So I suppose, and Drumishire anyway, St Helens have their own under 10 team. So it helped them pull in all the under 8s and under 10 girls and have them on their own 4 teams. And they got their own coaches involved in managing those. So it helped transition them now. Plus, some of them moving up to 12, some are going into under 10s as well. So it was good to get the ladies involved and make them aware that there's a lot of work being done by the men's club in regards to girls who kind of branch off and to get to probably 12. We had parents involved, so there was designated score takers on the nights. They helped out at the party at the end. The under 10 player was a captain and under 8 player was a vice captain, so it gave them a bit of responsibility. And so those under 8 players kind of look up to under 10s to some degree, so they enjoyed it. So I suppose it was different to the normal Go games. It gave them something to look forward to at the end of the year. So it created a bit of a buzz, I suppose, and they enjoyed it. I suppose the things we considered from it, I suppose, was that the coaches and parents need to buy into the developmental aspect. You know, coaches can be over, and parents are over anxious on the actual competitiveness of it. So I suppose the risk would be that, you know, in total we probably had 15, 16 coaches. So, you know, if you pull in a parent who maybe isn't experienced in coaching, that they can kind of maybe send out the wrong message, and you know, it's kind of just one to look out for. So you kind of have to guide the coaches and kind of maybe set some rules, which we tried to do at the start in regards to the competition. Pairing under 8s and under 10s. So I suppose we were conscious that a weak under 8 up against a strong under 10 might be a player welfare issue there from the point of view of maybe physical size. So we always made sure that an under 8 was marking under 8 and an under 10 was marking under 10 as best we could. So before the games would start, we kind of make sure that they were all paired up fairly equally. Obviously, you can't avoid collisions and stuff like that. So we tried to mark out the pitch half and half and just keep it spread. The small numbers worked better. So girls' teams had smaller numbers, so they had probably 6 or 7 aside, which worked out better than the boys, who probably had 8, 9, 10 aside games, which was kind of quite crowded. So you know, we could possibly have made more teams with smaller numbers. I'd like to keep the parents off the pitch. It's something I'm conscious of Go games as well, that maybe for under 8s it's different if kids are playing their first year and they're a bit nervous. But definitely, we used a wetter pitch as an excuse to keep parents off the actual up and down the middle of the pitch, keep them on the edges along behind the rail and the sideline, because we found a lot of them were getting very vocal, and I suppose it worked out well. The kids were able to see the coaches then, who stood kind of up and down the middle of the pitch. And picking teams, I suppose, was a challenge. So if you pick 1 or 2 stronger under 10s and they don't turn up, how does that weaken the teams? And just trying to get that balance right, I suppose, was a challenge. So I think overall it was positive, something that they look forward to. The idea came from Eden Derry, to be honest, their coaching officer. They run a mini All-Ireland series down there every year. I think they go up to maybe under 12 with it. And they do the same thing. They pick county teams. They have a big draw in the clubhouse. And it's kind of something that they use to bring parents out and give kids something to look forward to. So that was, I think, so I suppose a lot of clubs would probably call it the parish league, that type of format. But I suppose we call it the Super 8s and kind of jazzed it up a small bit. And as I say, got some of the senior players involved as well, looking over the teams, and on the presentations night as well, got them involved and took some photographs and that sort of stuff. So
brilliant stuff.
Summed it up. Any questions?
And just we have a question there. Mick Hand is asking, was it €90 for all the t-shirts? Was that for them all together, or what was that?
No, that was each, Mick, I think so.
Each team ended, was it?
Each team, yeah. So what they call oh, you're going to kill me now. The guy in Longford there on up on Errol Street. Edit print. Yeah. So we need to edit print. So look at the tees tops can be nice. You won't get them all in the same colour, so you have to use the standard cotton maybe for like the Galway maroon and stuff like that. But basically, there was no bother getting a sponsor for each team to put 90 quid in their pocket. And
excellent. Sorry, you said someone were sponsored, so you mean all the teams were sponsored, and the parents didn't have to put their hands in their pocket at all, pay a €5 entry fee or €10 entry fee or anything like that?
No.
Oh, excellent. Oh,
And,
but you got them all sponsored.
We had sponsors for, well, I sponsored the cups and the medals were all sponsored as well. So there was actually no cost to the families at all. I suppose it's something that's not done here much at all. There's no charge of membership. We do the free footballs for under 8s. They're sponsored as well. So we find we get money out of them in different ways. But that was all free.
All right, thanks, Enda.
All right,
thanks, Enda, as well.
Thanks,
and just to kind of second that, I think is it Jerry Ford there in Ardis said that they ran something very similar and that it was all positive as well. So definitely an idea. Definitely not an easy undertaking. I'm sure, Enda, lots of effort went into that, but definitely a great positive buzz around the club when it's going on. So thanks a million for saying those few bits.
Okay.
And next we have Declan Donnelly, who is the current coaching officer with St. Vincent's at the minute, and he's going to talk about something that the older teams did, the under-16s and the minors. So Declan, if you're there.
Hi everyone, how's things? So I'm just going to talk about the skills system that some of the lads ran last year. Enda was more involved in it than I was, but I was helping the lads out with the coach of the under-16s. But this ran for under-15s, under-16s, under-17s, and it was just something towards the end of the year because their kind of football was over fairly soon for them, and just to keep the lads at it when the weather was all right. But turned out the weather kind of hampered a bit. There was 3 sessions or 3 nights of it. What we did was we had a whole load of different drills. For example, one of them was the punt kick, one of them was shooting, and all these will be on your strong foot and your weak foot. Some of them were running towards the goal and shooting on your strong foot, and maybe having tackle bags in the goals. So you have to aim for your tackle bag or shooting with your weak foot, and then you've obviously got different points for doing with your strong or your weak. And that was just ran over 3 nights. Third night had to be ran inside because of the weather, just to finish it up. So some of the ones were you have a target on the wall, and you have to fist that to the wall for say 30 seconds, and then depending on how many you got right and left, that added to your score as well. Now it wasn't just something that you awarded the best kid for doing. Like there was awards for kids that had the best improvement as well. So it kind of had a bit of a competitive streak in it for kids to kind of practice at home, so they could see their score. They were checking it afterwards, and they were like, right, I need to improve in that. So they would have been practicing that at home, and then the next day they came out and they did really well. But then they got awards at the end. It was ran. Garage was involved in it. It was ran with some of the senior players first, just to run through it to see how they worked with it or what they thought was good. But you could have a number of different drills. They were just some of the ones we used. We had obviously soloing with your right and left round cones, hand passing right and left, the punt kick right and left into two different square zones. There was soloing with a tennis ball with maybe other smaller footballs when you're inside as well. And then there was kicking against one of those kicking nets, like the ball will bounce back to you. And you got a point for hitting that and maybe another point for if you caught it from that again. So and then at the end we had Warwick Davis that came in and presented some of the lads with the awards as well. So it kind of was meant something to the kids when they saw the county manager coming in to do that with them, you know. But that's it really.
Lovely stuff, Declan. And would you say that the players benefited from it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like it got competitive in their own way. Not that they were trying to beat everyone, but they were working on their own score. Like they were like trying to better that the next day. Because the first day people were like, "Oh, this is easy," but when you had to maybe do the punt kick to a square and they were missing it and it was going way over, they were like, "Jesus, I thought I was going to fit to do that." So then they were going home practicing that. The same with the hand passing on against the wall. They were fit to do that at home. Just little things like that, you know. And there was award for some lads that maybe wouldn't have been that good at solo, and then towards the end, like, were really excelling, so you could see the evidence that they were practicing at home.
Great stuff. That's the key thing. Thanks a million, Declan. And then we'll open it out. I know probably putting people on the spot here, but has anyone else any ideas or anything that they'd like to share with other coaching officers, something similar, or any questions on any of that?
Just if I could go back to Emmett in Kilo, please, Owen, Mick here, Emmett, Mick and Grattans. Have you started to bring your own ball, Emmett, or are you proposing to do it?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mick?
Have you now, Emmett? Go ahead. Yeah,
so that was one thing. We haven't started anything just yet because we had the order gone in. We had the under 6, under 8s and under 10s. We had them in the hall in Drumlish for the guts of 3 or 4 weeks. And then this all happened. The lockdown happened. So, I suppose your next thing will be, how is it going to work and how is it going to manage?
Well, just to give you a bit of feedback, we did it in Grattans a couple of years ago for, just Tommy can remind me now, but I think it was definitely under 8s and I think definitely under 6 and under 8s. But we found after about 3 weeks, the under 6s had all lost theirs, or the dog had ate them, or something had happened. Or some of them had come without it and they'd end up walking out with a different ball. Just a bit of advice is what we decided in the end is we had to get different coloured balls for club balls, because if it didn't come with a football, then you had to give them one. And then to try and get it back off them at the end was caused a bit of bother too sometimes. So, listen, just a bit of advice. But you have it up and running. It's great. It's a great initiative. But it's just we went with it one year and we just went away from it the next year because it caused too much hassle. But one thing is just maybe have different coloured footballs for your own set of footballs, because you can say to them, "Oh, listen, the purple balls are ours," you know. Just something we learned from it. But anyway, best of luck with it, buddy. It's good initiative.
No, that's one thing I think some of the committee asked. And again, I think we're going to look at it hopefully when we get the gear and organise it in a way. And I think that the different coloured footballs was mentioned as well. But thanks for the advice.
No bother.
Andy here, just I come in. We've under 8s. We kind of for the last 3 years we've given the free footballs. We've kind of used it as a bit of a carrot at the start of the year that if you maybe attend 5 or 6 training sessions, you get a football. Now I think the first year we just gave them the football and let them off with it. Second year we accompanied it with a skills booklet. So we had week 1, you must do 10 hand passes, 10 kick passes, and the parent kind of signed it. So look, you can't be sure whether they'll do it or not, but it meant that they brought the booklet back to training for 8 weeks, and it was always then there as the task that they kind of that they did their skills. Now you'll always have kids that after week 1 the ball will go into a white thorn bush and it'll burst. So I think you have to be really pragmatic and say we'll have an extra 5 or 6 footballs, and look at if the young fella does burst the ball, that you'll kind of maybe replace it for them. But then after that, then you're kind of encouraging the parents, give them a link to the type of ball you're using. Say you can buy them in Longford for 5 or 6 euros each. For first touch football, and encourage them then to at least they know what type of a football you're using, and the kids have it, their name is on it, maybe the crest of the club is on it, and stuff like that. So I think you have to. It's not perfect, but I know kids who still had their ball, the middle of the end of the year, and they never left it down. And then there'll be some kids that throw it away after maybe a couple of weeks. So
that's brilliant,
And just something there, lads, just as well, we've done it with the squads, and we've had the same issue. But what I'd say to you is as well, that's a key opportunity there to get a parent, to give them a job to say, right, at one part of the session they're using their own footballs, but then they can put them in a section on the pitch, whether it's a bag of footballs that the club have there, an empty bag. And that can be a job for a parent to be over that and say, right, they're going to handle all the footballs at the end and give them back to them. So you might get more parents involved in doing a bit of jobs. They don't have to coach, but they might just be involved in collecting the football when they're finished, say you're drilled at the start, and then they give them back to the kids at the end and they're in charge of it. So you might have 3 or 4 parents that are just waiting there. That's their job each week. And it's just another job you won't be able to give to the parents. Just something that came to mind there. That work. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks, Paddy. I don't know if there's anyone else there. If there's not, we'll move on. Kieran, you can take over there if you want.
Yeah. If there's no one else, just conscious of time they're on.
Sorry?
Just I'm conscious of time, so I might move on.
Yeah, there's no one else. Go.
So this is the Club GAA is a resource developed by Leinster Council. So it's a GAA club development program. It's modified for the use of clubs, just for Leinster clubs really. It's an initiative by the province and by the development officers, and it's all about planning to improve coaching in games within your club. So it's a tool. You do the work, and you can always come back to it, update it, use it for reference for all you need in the club. So the main 3 points are below on it there is where is your club now? So there's a section on what's happening right now, what are the numbers like, etc., where your club wants to be in the future, and how you're going to get there. So what you're at now, where you want to get to, and how you're going to get there. So I'm not going to go through it completely, but just an example there, section 1 there, boys football, so number of players, number of teams, games, number of coaches, number of weeks activity, etc. And so there'd be an activity audit for boys football, girls football, hurling, camogie, whatever's in your club. All this was going to be in your coaching officer's resource, which I'm going to show you exactly where it is on the website at the end of this. So there will be all this stuff available to you after. It's a very handy tool to have. So again, where are you now? So again, the present, yes or no questions. Have you a coaching and games committee in place? Do you have a club coaching officer? You're all here online, which is great. Are all the new club coaches guard vetted? So we get parents involved every year, or have they got the necessary stuff, their safeguarding and their foundation, and just all the different things you can keep track of through this planning tool. Again, your coach education, have you done the tourist workshop with Owen and Paddy? Have you done a GAA 15 warm-up? Who's the first day qualified people? This kind of thing, all in the plan. So where do you want to be is kind of the second part to the tool. So your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if you look at the paper that you did the exercise for Owen earlier on your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, what your club does well, what your club can improve on, what your club's not doing great at, that's pretty much the start of a SWOT analysis there. So my challenge to everyone there is that you've a point in each box already there. So meet up there. I know there's a couple of people from different clubs and from the same clubs, in Declan, for example, are the same club there. They might sit down and have a coffee next week and say, look, we've started this, why not throw another 4 or 5 points in each box and get a run on it. And I think now that the games aren't in play at the moment, it's a great opportunity to be starting these things. So we've gone where we want to be. So from the opportunities or weaknesses, whatever it might be, what are the key priorities for your club in the next few years? So whether it's coach education, maybe you're not up to date on that. Whether it's you want to create a player pathway like Owen mentioned earlier on. Whether it's a simple thing that you want to focus on a skill. I think someone mentioned that skill earlier on, that maybe your club are poor decision makers all the way up, and maybe it's something you want to focus on, or maybe it's just recruitment or retention of players. So what priorities your club are going through, and how will you get there? So you've got your priorities and your SWOT analysis. So here's an action plan template. So your area, your actions, when and who. So your area might be in coach education. Your action might be to have another level 1 coaching course, when, or a tourist workshop, whatever. When you have Owen and Paddy are going to be doing more online workshops now in June. So anyone signed up for the tourist workshop, you'll be doing it now. And with who? So it's with yourselves, it's with your GDA, Owen or Paddy or Seamus, and all your club coaches in a room or online at the same time. This is just a separate then action plan. It's the same thing as your the last slide really. This one I think is just handier to use, and I have a copy of this in the resource as well. It just beefs it out a little bit more. So I have an example of it on the next page there. So just even looking at the yellow one there. So your action is to liaise with the local GDA, so Owen, Paddy or Seamus, to agree dates, times, venues for each age group workshop. Communicate to all the coaches details of the specific workshop. So whether it's your GAA 15 warm-up workshop or it's the tourist club workshop. Have an agreed timetable. So how are you going to achieve this? When it's going to happen? All coaches know when and where the workshop is taking place. So if it's the one happening this month, it'll be online, so they all know, and they've all done a test call maybe. The time scale, again, depending whether you're physically doing one or if it's online, and the responsibility is with the coaching officer and by liaising with your games development administrator as well. So just I spoke a lot about resources there. So online you have your Learning GAA that we said at the start, links that have some great stuff. Don't be afraid to use other provincial websites. I was on the Munster one myself today looking at different things. The Longford GAA website, I went through that as well. I'm going to show you exactly where the folder is in a second. Manuals is a planning toolkit, the course folder. I'll show you the resource now in a second. And the people, your full-time staff, your Cundy board, Owen, Paddy, Seamus, Damien, whoever it might be. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone even to myself. Community of practice, so the other club coaches in your club. So the community of practice is just all your coaches getting together, thinking ideas, sharing resources, getting in a room like they do with the first night and the tourist workshop. And your other club officers, of course, as well. So I'm just going to take control there again. I'm going to just come out of the presentation and go into the Longford GAA website. So I'm here at the Longford GAA website. So I'm going to go up to coaching. So coaching webinar. So all these are in the webinar section. And Damien kindly updated this again today for me. So the June series, so this is the first one in the June series, so you get it all straight away. So down to June 2020 series, link to coaching officers resource for download. And if I click into that, it's a SharePoint there with all the files that we spoke of today. It's a little bit slow there. My internet's not great. It's coming slowly. So the activity planner guide, that video that Jimmy showed exactly what the activity planner was doing, area for development template, so that green action plan, and the Becco Bua template, so the different things I was talking about, the planning toolkit, the 14 skills or responsibilities of the coaching officer, the workshop presentation, so what we're doing right now, you'll have a physical copy of that, and then the tourist cards, so the cards all the way up from your nursery cards all the way up to your minor cards for football and hurling are all there. And I won't keep you much longer now. I just want to bring your attention as well to the Gaelic Games coach survey. The GAA, the LGFA and the Camogie associations all came together and they're hoping to have the biggest survey ever completed in Ireland in sport. So at the moment, we're hoping that you as coaching officers will go back to your clubs and get all of your coaches, minimum 10 coaches in each club, go on to learning.ga.ie, the coach survey. Owen and Paddy and myself will be sending out the link to the survey as well to your individual coaching officers and clubs as well. So your secretary will have it, yourselves will have it. So it's all about just trying to get all the coaches to fill it out, because the more information we have on it, the better we can prepare for the future for these kind of things. And now is the time to do it while we have the time to sit down and then there's no games going on. Owen, I might get you just to have a look at the chat here again for me, if you don't mind. So just as a kind of a learning thing for myself and Owen, if you could all put something in the chat that you took away from tonight, if it's something small like what the lads were talking about, or whether it's the toolkit or anything like that, just give us an idea of anything you took from tonight, or something that you might want to focus on, or maybe your first plan of action now that you have the time to start these planning. So Owen, if you keep an eye in the chat there for me, and you might read them out, I can't see it here.
Yeah, will do. And just while people are typing there, there's loads of resources and stuff out there, but probably the most powerful resources you would have seen there tonight is ourselves, in terms of the people around you. So like, the more you can meet with different coaching officers or people in the club, or link with me and Paddy or anyone else that you know, they're really powerful resources, and that's where you learn the most, is talking to other people, what they might have done before, or what they might have seen before, and you know, sharing ideas and taking ideas as best you can. And just from a kind of a word from myself and Paddy, don't be afraid to pick up the phone to us at any stage if there's something that you're not just quite sure about or you might need a bit of help with. Make sure and give us a call and we'll answer, and we'll try and help out whatever way we can.
Second that on, yeah, just lads as well, and a couple of lads like the likes of Mick there and Shayna. I know I've been working with you, and you're never afraid to pick up the phone and ask a question. And I'd encourage all coaching officers, lads, whatever it is, just come on to us and we'll try and help you out. We'll never say no. We'll try and find an answer to it and work on it from there. So don't be afraid to get on to us. We'd rather us you driving us mad with questions than not coming to us at all. So it's very important if you keep doing that if you can. Thanks, lads.
Thanks, Paddy. So we have a couple of coming in there already, and it's definitely the ideas that the other coaching officers have shared that are popping up the most. The parish league idea is kind of the prominent one there, and Club Boo has been mentioned. But as I said there, it's the resources, and it's not that it has to be an expert coming up with these ideas. It's probably happening in clubs very close to you. So the more we can share ideas like we have tonight, the better for ourselves, and go and ask the question. And if anyone's wondering more about those couple of things that we're chatted about, get in touch with either myself or Paddy and we can put you in touch with the lads, or if you know them direct, you can go direct as well if you have any questions or more about how it was run. So it seems that's the main thing that's coming back. The membership package is the other one as well, and the skills has just popped in there. So definitely it's those ideas that are being shared that are the take-home messages.
Excellent.
Do you want to add anything else, Kieran?
Just that I know I'm involved with slashers myself, but if there was something that you saw us doing that was different and you want to ask us about, don't hesitate to contact me either if there is something that you have an idea of doing that we may have done before.
Brilliant stuff. I suppose thanks a million everyone for joining. It's brilliant to see so many of you here, and this is probably the most interactive webinar with people answering questions and getting involved over the mics. So really appreciate that, and special thanks to the three lads that prepared to say a few words just on what they said about the club. So thanks to Emmett, Enda and Declan. Kieran, if you've anything to add, I think we're finished then.
No, just thanks again to the lads, and wish you all best of luck in the role. And again, that little bit of planning while you have the time is essential right now.
Absolutely. Thanks a million, everyone, and we'll be chatting to you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.